What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to jump in to the Supra and tell you everything wrong with it. Now, I thought the build was done. It's not done. I mean, I thought the build was done. I classed it as done to me, and most people that would look at it would be like, oh yeah, he's finished that. I'm not. And there's a bunch of little things wrong with it that I need to come clean and tell you all about. So let's jump on in and cover everything that's wrong with it. Okay, now I was gonna roll it out, get it in the sun, get it looking real pretty, but unfortunately it's blowing a gale outside, so you won't be able to hear a thing I say. So we're gonna have to stay in here. Aesthetics won't be as nice, sorry. Now, as for the outside of the car, it's kind of sweet. Like, we just painted it, just finished the wheels. I just came through and did like the cowl, which was an issue, but I'm not going to include that because that's obviously fixed now. And as you can see, looks really nice now. Yeah, everything's coming up Millhouse on this one. The headlights, I'm really happy how they turned out. We did that custom build with all the inside black. Yeah, so as for the outside, she's mint. So we're going to have to jump inside and cover a couple of things in there. All right, now look, be aware that the car is pretty much done. You know, like we're like 99% of the way there, but there are a few little things. Inside, this clip here keeps bugging me, keeps breaking. I've got a million clips, so I'm just gonna replace it, but that one is actually broken. So little things like that is what we're talking about, you know, like things I need to make perfect. All the dash and everything is mint. The wire up at the TPMS came up really nice. Everything's really good, but that speaker over there, I'm having issues with it. I don't know what's going on. I think maybe my solder job wasn't great on the back of the tweeter, possibly. I don't know, but I'm gonna have to pull that door card off and have a look, fix that. And as for the stereo itself, I need to do a proper tune. So I don't know if you guys will have seen, but down under there, on that side there, is my amps. Are my amps. And under here is a 10-inch sub in a custom box that's molded to the actual car. Now, where the amps sit, I've actually got, so like one here and then one below it, and they're bracketed separate. So they've come up really nice. They sit really well, but I do need to tune everything, and I want to tune it because we've got speakers obviously in the back. I've got some small speakers in the back, obviously the big ones in the front, and then the 10-inch sub behind the seat. So I want to tune it so it's perfect. I feel like the turning off, turning on of the car has left it with some tuning to be desired. So we're gonna have to get in there, have a bit of a play. But apart from that, the interior is pretty sweet. All the back obviously has been finished. All the air tank and everything, I'm happy with that. The compressor is still quite loud in the back, but I don't know if there's anything I can actually do about that. I think I just have to wear that one. Now, let's go into the engine bay and talk about the big stuff. Okay, engine bay. I've actually made a little list for this because there are a few things. Now, washer bottle lid. Simple, but that went missing when we painted the car, so I do need to get a replacement for that. I've tried to get like the universals, it's not working. It's hard to get just the lid because everyone sells it as a whole kit. I don't need the whole kit, I just need the lid, just to finish that off. I was going to do a battery to the boot conversion, but to be honest, the amount of effort to put in for the amount of gain, and I'm limited with room in the boot, not really gonna do it, can't be bothered, and it doesn't need it. This coolant overflow over here, I do wanna change that to something a bit nicer, something maybe black, something a bit more discreet. Obviously, as you can see, the whole engine bay is black, apart from the engine itself. We color matched the coil pack cover, and that's actually the original color of the car, the 199, but it's got a nice pearl over the top. You can't see obviously because we're not in the sun, and it needs direct sun for you to see that, but I like leaving it like that because it's like a bit of a tribute to what the car once was. Then coming down to the front, you can see we've got the pulleys that are silver. Not a big fan. Those two I want to change out because back when I put them in, I had actually polished the plenum. I had a plan of having like a big polished turbo, things like that. Not going to do that. I do want to also change that intercooler pipe. That intercooler pipe is like 3 pipes all joined together to, instead of go out the wheel arch, go down and under. It is a lot nicer, it's a lot cleaner and tidier. And I'm just realizing I need to do a good clean in this engine bay. It's dusty as, but I need to get that made up, and then I'm going to wrinkle black it just like I did this, and I'm going to re-wrinkle black this one because as you can see, some of the areas didn't wrinkle up. As for the engine itself, now, what I need is more power. I don't need it really, but I want it, and I want to do justice to the car itself, to the 2J. So it's only got 334 rear wheel horsepower at the moment. It's got the V160, but it's got the 5-speed diff gears. So it is very snappy. It's a lot of fun to drive, even with that power. And it's a lot to kind of handle with that power, which I know it sounds weird. You're all gonna be like, oh, it's only 330. It's 330 to the rears, and it's snappy. So yeah, look, it's fun, but I would like to get over the 4,500 horsepower at the rears mark. For that, we need injectors, fuel rail, fuel pressure reg, new fuel pump that's bigger, and a tune. And while we do that tune, the thermos down here, we're actually going to get those set up so that they cut off at a certain speed, because apparently most thermos cut off over like 90 Ks or 100 Ks or something like that. I find in this car, it's an issue I've had ever since I've done the conversion, motor conversion. When I'm driving on a really like hot day, like 40 degrees Celsius on the freeway with the aircon on, it starts to get warm. It's really strange. It's not so warm that the factory temperature sensor comes in and has an issue. It's just my aftermarket ones over here. You see that it starts to increase, which is tapped in here, right? So I want to fix that, and the shop that I take my car to over here, they have assured me that that is the issue, because what they're saying is because the fan's still spinning at 100, the air coming in is actually obviously faster than what the fan can produce, and that's kind of making a wall to stop the flow all the way through, which I guess does make sense. I would have thought that it would have just kind of free spun and let it through, but apparently it doesn't do that. Now, I know you're all gonna be like, oh, it's because you're not running the clutch fan. Oh, it's because of this. Oh, it's because of that. The clutch fan, I can't remember the CFM, which is the actual like reading of how much airflow goes over, but my thermo that I bought, I made sure was like 300 or 400 CFM higher and tested. So the clutch fan would actually be working like moving less air than this thermo, and it's got a full shroud, all that kind of thing. You guys would have seen us make that up. So those are the things in the engine bay that I need to fix up and finish. Then the car will be done. Little things like actually this trim, you guys would have seen in one of the last videos. I need to get some more clips for that. I do want to re-clip this cover because there's a couple missing. Things like that, little things I'm going to go through and do. I might even actually get a new one of these. I don't know. It's just added costs that I don't really need to do right now when we're trying to get the BMW done. But these are things that need to be done to really finish and complete this build 100%. Now, I do have something in the works for these pulleys. That's on its way. It's about to get shipped. So that's going to be good. The tune and the fuel system upgrade is going to also get the fan sorted. So that should all fix in one go. This is just finding the part, and the same with this. My actual power steering reservoir, because as you can see, you can't see one around here. It's actually under that cover, and it actually came from a Commodore. My lines go up there to there. It's actually black itself, you can't see that, but when I didn't have those covers, it matched the engine bay nicely. So I'm gonna try and find something like that, maybe like an alley setup. This is literally just like an overflow. There's no coolant in there. It's not like super important or anything, but it looks ugly because everything else is nice and black or wrinkle black or whatever. And this is just like, you know, white plastic, so it looks a bit average. So I'm gonna have to come through and fix those two things as well. And as for that intercooler pipe, obviously I will get that intercooler pipe done when the rest of the tune gets done, because it's stuff that I can't do welding, I can't do tuning, I can't do things like that. So when I actually take it into a shop, there I do have limitations. As much as, you know, I'm running a YouTube channel that's how to work on your own car, I know my own limitations. So I don't want to go and start playing with tuning or, you know, welding and ruining things. I do want to start to learn how to weld, but this is not going to be the car that I learn on. This needs to be pristine, so I'll just get the shop to do that. The tune, this is essentially just programming to get the fans done properly. I'll be doing these bits. I will tune the stereo, I'll tune that myself. I just need to take all of those covers off. Now, let me show you something. The issue with the covers is that back one is the first one to come off, then the one around the tank, then this one here, then the lower one, and then the front one. I need to take all but that front one off to actually access the amp. Which, as you can guess, kind of annoying. Probably should have made it a little bit different, maybe a differently modular. Is that English? No, not really. Look, I could have made it different, but I do like how it sits. It's very supported. There are extra support brackets under there, all that kind of stuff. So when you're driving, it's not bouncing all around, it's not falling apart. It's very secure, but at the same time, that the other side of that is to pull it apart is a bit of a pain. But I do need to get in there and do that. I honestly think in my mind going, it's not complete, so doing that isn't gonna make it complete, is kind of me making excuses for not doing it. So I just need to pull that door card off and make sure the speaker is wired correctly and then get in and tune it. I think in my mind, some of the issues are, I think what I've done from memory is I've wired the rear speakers bridged and the front speakers bridged. So there's no more left and right balance, it's just front and back balance. And there's front and back tuning, because you can tune the back 2 channels together, the front 2 channels together. But I run a higher pass filter through all of my speakers because I don't want to run any bass through them, because generally bass is the thing that makes the speakers distort first. So all of that goes through my sub. A bit of mid goes through my speakers, but like the higher end of the mid, and then the other part of mid goes through the sub because it's only a 10-inch, so it is quite punchy. So it can handle a bit of mid as well. And I mean the lower end, so don't freak out. Don't think I'm trying to run, stuff and damage it. But jump in the comments if you can help me out here. My mind is thinking, so I've got the splitters for the tweeters in the front, right? I've got high pass filter on my amp, running the higher frequency to that splitter box, and then that splitter box is splitting the frequency again. I think that's okay. Because let's say I'm running from frequency, and I know this isn't the right frequencies, but let's say it's from 100 to 1000 are only going to the speaker, and then from 500 to 1000 are getting to the tweeter because of that splitter box. I think that's how it works. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think I am, because it's just cutting frequencies. That's all it's doing. I don't think that sending a higher frequency only to the splitter box is going to then make the splitter box malfunction. It's more like as far as I can see, it's more like a filter. So the amp is filtering off all the lower end frequency, and then the splitter box is filtering the even lower end, like I guess the mid end to the woofer, and the high end off to the tweeter. I think I just worked that out while I was here with you guys, because I have been thinking about that a bit, and I think talking about it made that make more sense. So I do need to do that. Honestly, that's going to be the first thing I do, getting in and fixing that. Because that bugs me on the daily whenever I drive. So I need to get that sorted ASAP. And then this side of things, honestly, this side of things is gonna be a little bit later, because I wanna get the BMW running ASAP. So I don't wanna pour any money into this. That is already running and enjoyable and great and making all the noises and the fun bits, and I can take it to shows and I can take it to meets and blah, blah, blah. This is all doing that. It's not like broken, there's no big issue like that. It's just the little tweaking things so that in my head I'm like, that's finished. Because once all of these things are done, the car's done. I'm just thinking if there's anything else I'm kind of contemplating doing, but that's it. One day I may put a big diff in, but only if I blow this one up. Until then, I'm just gonna keep rolling with this diff and see how it goes, because I do like the diff gears in this. Makes it really snappy, and with 400 or 500 horsepower as well, it's gonna be even snappier. Now, the shops are telling me that my limitation is going to be my cams, because I don't want to do cams. I can't be bothered. It's, like once you open that door, then you get, we'll do cams and retainer valves and springs. And well, now you've done them, like you may as well go to here. Like for example, what I've been told is my limitation is about 550 rear wheel horsepower with the cams. That's really pushing them to their limit. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, but that's what I've been told by workshops, not me just saying random stuff. I don't like to do that. I want to actually have a basis to tell you, right? But what I want is to hit over 400 rear wheel horsepower and over 400 rear wheel kilowatt and over 500 rear wheel horsepower. I think 536 rear wheel horsepower is 400 rear wheel kilowatt. Whatever it is, I want to get over 400 kilowatt, over 500 horsepower at the rear wheels, okay? So what one of my tuners was saying, actually my tuner in Perth, who's a legend, Tristan, he was like, you're kind of wasting your money doing cams, because if you don't want to push to 650, 700 horsepower, you're gonna be doing a multiple $1,000 job just to use 20, 30 horsepower. Why would you waste your time? If you're not, I don't want to go over 600 horsepower in this car. It's not a thing I want to do. Every Supra owner that I've met that has done the 6, then the 7, then the 8, then the 9, they all said I shouldn't have gone over 600. 600 was the most fun. Now it's just a dyno queen and I can't even drive it. That could just be their opinion, but I definitely see what they mean, and I kind of stand by that. I don't want to make this thing something that, oh yeah, guys, I've got like 870 horsepower. Oh cool, can you drive it? Nah. So you've got a car that is made to drive and you can't drive it because as soon as it's, as soon as it's wet, you've got no traction, blah, 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 okay? I don't want to go too much on tangent down there, but you know what I mean. My limits are 400 real kilowatt, 500 real horsepower are my aims. That's what I want to see on the paperwork. But to be honest, once we do the tuning and everything, if I get to say 505 real horsepower and it's like 390 something real kilowatt, I didn't break that 400 real kilowatt, I am not going to go and do cams and springs and retainers and all like the whole top end just to get 10 real kilowatt. It's not worth it to me. That's not what I want. So if that's my limitation, that's my limitation. If I can break 500 real horsepower, happy. If it means that I didn't make that 536, which is a 400 real kilowatt, so be it. I'm gonna have to wear that one. Not really fussed. I'm not the kind of person that is really chasing big numbers. I wanna make a car that is fun, fast, and to be honest, I'm doing that, and as silly as this sounds, I'm doing that for 18, 16, 17-year-old Adam who's still inside, who wanted a 500 horsepower Supra, 400 horsepower Supra, that kind of thing. And I don't think I'm doing the justice to a big turbo 2J to only be running 334 rear wheel horsepower. I feel like it needs to be closer to that 500 just to justify the fact that I've put all this effort in, you know what I mean? But that's kind of it for the video, guys. I just wanted to cover everything so that you guys essentially know where we're gonna be going with this car, what's to come. And I don't wanna like lie to you guys and be like, oh, all my cars are perfect. Like they're not, no cars are perfect, I guess. Like everyone's build has something wrong, a crack here, a wire there, or whatever. But from what I can see by going over the car, they are my issues. They're the things I've got to fix, and we are going to fix them so that I can get it as close to perfect for me as it can be. Okay, so guys, hope you enjoyed. If you like, if you want to subscribe. I think only like 13% of you are subscribed, so like it would really help if we could pump those numbers up, get this channel going somewhere. But apart from that, guys, I'll see you in the next one. See you guys.